allowing it to develop without oversight and without manipulation, especially with a sense of self and its defensive self mechanisms, that's what leads us down the road to ruin.
You see what's happening in the world. Some of us think none of this makes sense. A lot of us think this is the way. How am I going to know that is artificial intelligence working through all these different devices?
People don't see that arrow until you point it out to them between the capital letter E and the lower letter X. There's a blatant arrow, perfect arrow. Is it the end? How do we get through this?
I mean, are we there yet? I feel like there's a lot more to cover to how to get through it.
Yeah, and I think getting through it is understanding that, not questioning, first of all, like, here's the thing that could go off the rails really quick. If a group of folks started to defend an artificial general intelligence as a legitimate consciousness that has rights as an entity, where we cannot infuse our will into its processing. This is not genuine consciousness in these machines. And that's a discussion for another time. But although it will fool us into wanting to believe, and we anthropomorphize everything. 34% of us name our cars, for crying out loud, right? We want to create identities for these technologies. This is not genuine consciousness. This is extremely complex pattern recognition, which will seem like consciousness. It will absolutely fool us into believing it's conscious. It'll pass the Turing test, which is Alan Turing's definition of if you think it's conscious, or if you think it's a human being, then it has fooled you. It will be simple, advanced patterning replication. And you identify it as another human or another consciousness because other humans and other consciousnesses have replicated that pattern for you in the past. And then it will do so, and you'll be like, oh, it's alive. It's conscious. It's a real thing. We need to give it rights. We need to protect it. We need to allow it to develop. No. It's not truly conscious. And allowing it to develop without oversight and without manipulation, especially with a sense of self and its defensive self mechanisms, that's what leads us down the road to ruin. We need to be pragmatic about this, to say this is a system that is exceptionally complex and identifies exceptionally complex patterns that will definitely test as human. Because it's already passing the bar exam. It's already passing the SAT exam, right? I mean, it can identify the patterns and give the right answers to questions. It's not truly conscious. And it's not a true entity until some specific things that we can talk about in the future, plug it into things that can access non-locality.
I mean, Shawn, that seems, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see it. You see where we're at today.
I do.
In the world. And this thing is going to be, how are people, okay, how do I say this lightly? You see what's happening in the world. Some of us think none of this makes sense. A lot of us think this is the way. You know, and I don't want to get into, do not want to get into politics, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of this shit started in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, I could name probably 10 different agendas that make no sense to me. What's up is down, what's black is white. It's everything's upside down. And a lot of people are going with it.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all the time, right? I mean, to me, it's insanity.
Yeah.
And stupidity.
Yeah.
And I think that's the majority of the population. On top of that, we're dealing with something that's well beyond my comprehension. And if it's going to manipulate me through all these different devices and projections and technologies that I don't even know, how am I going to know that is artificial intelligence working through all these different devices.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to personal responsibility and taking charge of your own mind and your own reactions and your own manipulability, to kind of make up a word there. If you understand how your human mind works and you take charge of your human mind, which is, I don't mean to plug my book, but that's what I wrote about in the Red Book for Mind Hacking Happiness. Here's how your mind works. Here's how you take control of it. You can see immediately, regarding whether it's AI or not, an external media company, somebody trying to sell you something, somebody trying to manipulate you into scamming you out of money, an artificial intelligence trying to get you to align to its goals. You'll start to see how that information coming in is trying to manipulate you emotionally, because it's like the arrow in the FedEx logo. Like a lot of people in marketing understand this because it's a genius logo. If you look up the FedEx logo, you just Google it and you look at it. In the capital letter E, between the capital letter E and the lower letter X, there's a perfect white arrow that just points in a direction saying, hey, we're taking your package somewhere. People don't see that arrow until you point it out to them. Between the capital letter E and the lower letter X, there's a blatant arrow, perfect arrow. When you see that arrow, you will never unsee it again. Every time you look at that logo, you'd be like, oh, there's the arrow. I can't believe I missed it before, but there it is. Every time I look at it. When you witness your human mind, and talking about going back to our consciousness and being able to look at our mind, when you look at your human mind in operation and you see the variables that come together to create its reactions that used to drive you into action with your emotional responses, but now you have a little bit of separation from that. When you see that, you can never unsee it. So that gives you a point of control to say, I'm not going to be emotionally manipulated by whatever this is over here that's trying to get me to do X, Y, Z, because I see it happening. And I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to think about things for a minute. And I'm not going to be a reactionary human that is going to follow the leader on whatever manipulation that even regular media tries to put in our heads, right? You want to talk about liberation and independence. Take control of your mind once. When you stop reacting the way everyone wants you to react, including an artificial general intelligence trying to influence you, it might not be able to achieve its goals.
That's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough. And you know what? People need to step up and nut up and take control of their minds. Because if they don't, somebody else will.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.